This is an excellent speech and you've really nearly finished, so well done. Your title is great, it draws the audience in, it's shocking with words like murdering, our society's future, so it's really engaging. Your opening line, picture a healthy, active baby in your mind, imagine its soft laughter, tiny hands, smooth skin. That's great, it works really well. The use of the rhetoric device there with a list of 3 is a really effective way of convincing your audience. You've then got your rhetorical question, don't you agree they're cute, which works really well. However, such innocent creatures are now being brutally murdered for stem cell research before they've got a chance to develop into adults. That's great because then you've got a contrast. And again, you've used some strong adjectives, innocent, brutally, to really convey the point to your audience. In America alone, over $1,000 billion are invested in the embryonic stem cell research each year. That's great, and it's really good that you've been more specific now, so you've specified America alone, which implies that actually in other countries there are also governments spending a similar amount of money on stem cell research. The supporters of this research claim that the discoveries of the study will bring significant advances in the cell biology field and could be used to help burn victims. But, really good, they are hiding one important truth for you. Extracting the stem cells necessary for research is destroying human embryos, which will grow into babies. This is a really strong first paragraph, well done. The human embryo is the beginning of life. Really effective, short sentence that conveys your meaning very well. After being fertilised, the embryo goes through a process of development and would eventually become a child. Therefore, it is fair to say embryos are equivalent to the first stage of human life, since they carry the potential to become an infant. That's really clear. Yet human embryos are being used as disposable materials in stem cell research. I really like the use of disposable materials here, because you're showing that actually they're being used almost like a chemical or something else that's being used in science, an object rather than like people. In addition, like all newly discovered and underdeveloped is actually just one word. Under is what's known as a living prefix, which means that it doesn't need a hyphen or a new word when you combine it with an adjective or with a verb. So underdeveloped is one word. Like all newly discovered and underdeveloped medical technologies, stem cell research requires a considerable amount of funds. Although this is clear amount of funds, amount of is actually normally used with uncountable nouns. For example, money. She has a large amount of money. Funds is countable. You can have singular, fund, and funds, plural. So it would be better to just say considerable funds without the amount of here. To cover the cost of the research, stem cell treatments would be very expensive, which means it. Here you've used stem cell treatments in the plural, so we need to make sure it's consistent, which means they, and then obviously your is needs to agree, they are only accessible to rich people from the upper class. The upper classes are okay, but normally in English we refer to the upper classes, plural, because actually even within the upper class there are different levels, different statuses within society, so upper classes. In this case, stem cell research only brings benefit to a small group of people. That's fine, or benefit to the minority would be an even better way of saying it, to the minority, because it's a much shorter, more concise way of expressing your meaning, and could deviate funding from other health research that could be implemented on a large scale and help the public. Public is fine. You could either make it clearer by saying help the general public, to show that actually it helps everyone, the general people, rather than just the upper classes, or you could use the contrast majority to match the minority that you've got here on a large scale and help the majority. Because here you've got a contrast showing that stem cell research will help the minority, but other health research will help the majority. If stem cell research is not prohibited, such unethical technology could lead to knowledge on cloning. Usually we use the preposition about following knowledge, about something, so it could lead to knowledge about cloning or genetic modifying of humans. In other words, just be careful you don't need the capital there, it allows humans to play the role of God and create designer babies in the future. Here it would be better if you use it could, because here you're saying that it could lead to knowledge. It's not yet done that, so it could allow humans to play the role of God and create designer babies in the future. Parents could select traits and characteristics of their children and design their offspring according to their wishes. As a result, stem cell research and cloning technology would raise discrimination. Raise is okay, but it would be better to say increase. It matches discrimination better. Would increase discrimination and injustice in the society. By using the, you're using a definite noun, a definite article, before society, which means that you're being specific. It's one particular society. Actually, here I think you're talking about society in general, all across the world. So it would be better just to have society without a the. In society, towards those who are imperfect. That's really good and really clear. Stem cell research, destroy. Just make sure it agrees with stem cell research. It destroys with an S. Stem cell research destroys human life for unpromising outcomes that are only available to the wealthy. I would end the speech. It'd be better here if you'd say, I would like to conclude. I would like to conclude with a quote. Again, it makes it more concise, and it's often used as a fixed phrase to conclude, to finish a speech. I would like to conclude with. I would like to conclude with a quote from George W. Bush. Embryonic stem cell research requires the destruction of life to create a stem cell. That is why I think we've got to be very careful in balancing the ethics and the science. That's excellent. This speech works really, really well. Well done, Karen. It's very clear. You've used lots of rhetorical devices to really persuade and convince your audience, and you've understood how to write the speech very well. The last thing you need to do is to thank the audience for listening. So something very simple. Thank you very much for listening. That's all you need at the end, really. That's excellent. Well done.